Slope Evac is one of our least technical, but most common scenarios that involve rope systems. If it's been a little while since your ITR class, some of this information might not be as fresh in your head as it once was. Seeing it here will help, but don't stop there. Putting hands on this stuff with the gear from your own engine is the best way to stay confident with this skill. All engines should have a utility rope bag in them, with a minimum of 1 carabiner, 1 Prusik cord, and 1 length of tubular webbing. Some engines have more, which means you can set up more redundancy and more technically correct haul systems, but don't get caught up there. This isn't a life safety skill, so no one's dangling on this rope. You can set up a good enough system with just the minimum equipment. The first thing you need is an anchor. Anything reasonably sturdy but small enough to wrap your webbing around will be plenty appropriate for this setup. Guardrails, utility poles, solid trees, those are all common targets. The gold standard for an anchor here is the Wrap 3 Pull 2. Webbing is wrapped around the object 3 times, then a water knot is tied in the exposed ends, and the other 2 wraps are pulled away from the anchor to pull the knotted end in flush against the surface. A carabiner can then be clipped onto the 2 exposed ends. In areas where you don't have a good stable anchor along the side of the road, a tow hook on front of one of the engines seems like a tempting target. This might feel okay at the right angle, but it's really not the best option given that any knot you tie there can be slid off the end if pulled from the wrong direction. The closed loop that some engines have on the back bumper is an okay choice as nothing will slip off. Loop the webbing with a water knot and tie a girth hitch around it, or just feed one end of the loop through and pull the carabiner through both ends of the loop. If nothing else is available, wrapping a tire with the webbing loop is a functional approach. You might have to drive off it afterwards to extract the webbing, but that probably won't do any lasting damage. Once you have some anchor with a carabiner clipped in, you need to use the Prusik cable to make a break for the rope. Place the knot against the rope and wrap 3 times. Dress the loops and shift the knot over a bit to do all the pulling on the unknotted portion of the cord. Then just clip the anchor carabiner through the big loop in the Prusik cord. Finally, at the end of the rope, you have to tie off on whatever you're hauling up. Typically a Stokes basket, but this can be done with a backboard alone as well. Once the setup is secure, the rope can be slowly fed through the Prusiks as long as it's slack. But sudden tensioning, like in the case of a slipping firefighter or a dropped patient, should call it to pull tight and stop the line. As mentioned at the beginning, watching this is good, but practice is better. Get your rope bag out and practice setting up this system a few times until you're comfortable. It'll make doing this at 2 a.m. on the side of the interstate go a lot better.